Good afternoon. Thank you. I am really honored today to be joined by my partners in law enforcement and government, Commissioner of the Department of Investigation, Commissioner Jocelyn Strauber, a longtime collaborator and partner in so much of what we do in the white-collar space, Commissioner Jimmy Oddo, also a longtime government colleague, Commissioner of the Department of Buildings, our partners on this matter. Honored to be joined by them and with them today. Also, I get the honor of working side by side every day with our great career prosecutors here at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, Rachna Pathak, who leads our Worker Protection Unit, Danielle Corbett, who's our coordinator for Worker Protection, for the Worker Protection Unit, and Jody Kane, got to find everyone, our acting chief of the Investigations Division and our chief of the Rackets Bureau. They do a great job across a number of issues, and we're here today to talk about our continued fight for worker safety, which they're at the forefront of. New York City construction workers have one of the most dangerous jobs in the city and the country, with rapidly rising buildings and jaw-dropping heights. These workers face hazardous conditions each and every day. And that is why comprehensive safety training is so important. And the City Council acknowledged as much in 2017, passing a law requiring construction workers to complete 40 hours of safety training. And that 40 hours comprises in two parts, 30 hours of what is called OSHA training, the Federal Oversight Agency, and 10 hours of site safety training, including 8 hours specifically for fall protection. Companies like VALOR Securities and Investigations were tasked with administering the required trainings, and after doing so, issuing certificates, affirming in official documents that the workers were fully trained and ready to go out and do these very dangerous jobs. We are here to announce a case that shows the exact contrary. As we allege, VALOR instead issued thousands and thousands of safety certificates and cards without providing adequate training, and frequently without providing any training at all. So this well-regulated administrative space for this very, very safety function where safety training is required and needed, certificates issued when no training was provided at all. And as the third largest provider of safety certifications in the city, VALOR issued safety certificates to approximately 20,000 students between December 2019 and April 2023. In a word, this is unacceptable. And in an industry like this, fraud has dire consequences. Indeed, fraud can mean life or death, not only for the hardworking workers on our construction sites, but for all of us, pedestrians and motorists who navigate around these sites every day. And indeed, a death did arise here. 36-year-old Ivan Frijas, a construction worker who immigrated here to New York from Mexico. On November 28, 2022, on the Upper West Side, Mr. Frijas fell to his death from the 15th floor of a construction site. Although VALOR had certified that he'd completed 10 hours of safety training, including the 8 hours of fall protection, VALOR never provided any training to Mr. Frijas. That is not just irresponsible, as we allege in court filings, that is criminally reckless. So accordingly, we've charged 4 individuals, including VALOR's president, with reckless endangerment in the 2nd degree for putting Mr. Frijas' life in jeopardy, and all to turn a quick buck. And I use the word quick intentionally. This was a scheme that was a quick operation. As you can see, we have some of the macro stats here, but specifically you can see this text thread here. I hope you can see it, and if not, I'll help call your attention. you see a request, VALOR employees are turning around. This is a 40-hour training certificate. Think of a 40-hour block of time. And we have sorry, Commissioner, a text here, 40 SST, and whoever doesn't have OSHA, make one up. How fast could you get me a 40-hour, Richard, if I ordered today? Tomorrow after 5 p.m. These texts are in the evening, 5 p.m. That, I was not a math major, but you can't do 40 hours of training in under 24 hours. That's what we're talking about here. That is a type of fraud, and as I said, fraud that is dangerous for all of us, not just the workers, but for motorists and pedestrians as well. Even if they didn't eat or sleep, they could not have done that training within that time frame. This is really, really, really part of our ongoing endeavor to safeguard, all of us. And I said workers, motorists, pedestrians, and also to safeguard the industry, right? When we talk about these kind of cases in the past, we've gathered, when we talk about the players who are, complying with the law and having an open and fair business practice. So I want to now turn it over to our Commissioner Strauber, who is our partner in this matter, but also in so much of our fight for worker safety and beyond that in our fight to just have a fairer, corruption-free city.
Thank you, Alvin, and thank you to your team, many of whom are here, with whom we work so closely on this significant investigation. I also want to recognize Buildings Commissioner Oddo and his team as well for their assistance in this case, and also for their consistent commitment to ensuring construction safety in New York City, including by further strengthening D.O.B.'s oversight of safety training that our local laws require. I want to take a moment also to thank the D.O.I. team who diligently pursued this investigation, including Special Investigator James Ferris, Deputy Inspector General Edward Zinzer, and Inspector General Gregory Cho, who are here with us today, as well as D.O.I.'s entire digital forensics unit who contributed to this investigation. This investigation highlights the importance of so-called buyback programs in which construction workers surrender fraudulent or invalid safety certifications, including site safety training cards or SST cards, to DOB-approved site safety training providers in exchange for discounted training. Buyback programs aim to reduce the number of fraudulent safety cards in circulation and incentivize workers to get critical safety training that our local laws require. That's 40 hours, as the DA explained, of safety training relating to OSHA regulations, scaffold safety, and fall prevention, among others, for particular types of construction sites. The local laws empower DOB to oversee the approved providers of training, the schools, but they don't give DOB the same authority over the site safety instructors, the actual trainers. And I'll say more on that when I talk about our recommendations here in a minute. So in 2021, a training provider reported to DOI that a safety card surrendered in a buyback program had been issued to someone who had not received training. And DOI determined that that card had been issued by VALOR. And from that initial determination, DOI, working with the team of prosecutors here today, conducted the extensive investigation that led to today's charges against VALOR Security and Investigations, 6 of its executives and employees, and 19 individuals who acted as SST card brokers. The indictments and the other documents unsealed today reveal the defendants' alleged participation in this widespread scheme in which VALOR and its executives sold to brokers approximately 20,000 fraudulent site safety training certifications for workers who never received that training. The alleged conduct facilitates evasion of local law site safety training requirements and thereby endangers workers on construction sites and members of the public in proximity to them throughout the city. A lack of training can have devastating consequences. As charged, VALOR submitted documentation that falsely represented that a 36-year-old construction worker had completed 10 hours of safety training, including 8 hours of fall protection, when in fact VALOR had never trained this worker. That worker was killed in November 2022 when he fell from the 15th floor of a building on West End Avenue under construction. As in all DOI investigations where fraud is identified, and particularly where, as here, that fraud has serious implications for public safety, DOI considers the policy and procedural changes that can prevent that misconduct in the future. As I mentioned earlier, D.O.B. oversees the providers of site safety training, requires them to post a schedule of the training that's offered, and conducts audits of the providers' records and classes, all intended to ensure that course providers actually provide training consistent with D.O.B. rules and local law. But that oversight does not extend to ensuring that the instructors who teach the classes are qualified, or that the recipients of SST cards in fact receive the training that the card indicates. And to that end, DOI has issued a number of recommendations to enhance DOB's authority and oversight in 3 areas: over course providers, course instructors, and the SST training process as a whole. We have hard copies of those recommendations with us today, and they'll be posted on our website as well. The key points of those recommendations are: DOB should pursue the appropriate legislative or regulatory changes necessary to enhance oversight over site safety training instructors so that DOB can more directly seek to ensure their qualifications and integrity. DOB should pursue the appropriate legislative or regulatory changes necessary to enhance their oversight over site safety training providers as well. With appropriate authority, DOB should require these providers to document trainees' attendance at the training courses through the use of an electronic automated system that can generate timestamps unique to each trainee, reflecting the times that they began and ended the required trainings. Course providers should be required to direct their instructors to make sworn written statements that they have provided SST training in accordance with DOB guidelines for each course provided. And finally, course providers should issue SST cards through an automated database and system to be created by DOB that will prevent the issuance of these cards unless the timestamps establish that each trainee in fact attended training courses as required and met DOB's other requirements. And finally, DOB should hire additional training compliance investigators to increase the capacity to audit course providers and to assist in the design and implementation of the automated system that I just mentioned. Pending implementation of the other recommendations, DOB should require that course providers pre-register courses at least 3 days in advance of the scheduled course dates and provide other critical course-related information uploaded into the DOB system, which can prevent the issuance of an SST card by any provider who doesn't give DOB that information. DOB can use the automated system to query for red flags that may indicate that providers are fraudulently issuing cards, such as in-person training at multiple locations simultaneously, as is alleged to have occurred in this case. DOB has accepted these recommendations and indicated that full implementation may require not only legislative and rule changes, but also additional funding. DOI will support DOB's efforts in that regard as we work together towards possible full implementation. Unscrupulous construction site safety course providers pose a serious public safety risk. This prosecution and our recommendations are important steps forward in mitigating that risk and in ensuring safety in this critical city industry. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, DA Bragg, Commissioner. Much appreciation to you and your teams for the collaboration and the hard work. I will attempt to emulate your professionalism, despite the fact that I can't help but be a bit angry today. Since day one of this administration, Mayor Adams has made it clear that the priority is public safety. Public safety includes buildings and construction safety. So when one of your partners in that effort breaks that fidelity, I think every New Yorker has a right to be a little bit disgusted. I've been commissioner for 10 months. If I am commissioner for 10 more months or 10 years, my North Star will always be safety. When there is a fatality or some incident, it's not just another day at the office for us. We wear it. A few weeks ago, I went to a site. No plans were submitted. No permits were pulled. There was a stop work order. And on that Friday, there was a 33-year-old young man not returning to his family. We wear those. In all of 2023, there were 7 building construction-related fatalities in New York City. That is the lowest number in 9 years. And while we recognize that progress, we hold on to the concept that even one death on a construction site is too many. At the foundation of the city's construction safety apparatus is our mandatory safety training requirements for workers and supervisors on large building work sites. Since the implementation of the program, D.O.B. approved course providers have issued 378,000 of these training cards, representing in each instance 40 hours of life-saving information delivered to industry members. This equips construction workers with the education tools they need to do their job safely and has had an undeniable positive impact on this industry. The actions of the defendants to provide fraudulent cards without the required training completely undermines this work and has deprived workers of these education tools. When we first discovered problems with this training provider company, we took steps to immediately suspend their ability to issue cards. We have been working closely on this case with our law enforcement partners, and we are gratified that DA Bragg has followed up with this indictment. This case sends a strong message that New York City takes construction safety seriously, and those who make our city less safe will face consequences. Since April of 2023, this course provider has been suspended by D.O.B. They have not been able to teach classes, and they have not issued any new cards since that time. With today's announcement, D.O.B. reaffirms this suspension and announces that we will be pursuing additional enforcement action as well, up to the possible revocation of this company's D.O.B. registration. According to our agency rules, this company will have time to respond to these additional enforcement actions before a final determination is made. If the training provider's registration is permanently revoked, that would impact any worker that obtained an SST card from that course provider. A revocation of the training provider's registration could potentially lead to the invalidation of all of those SST cards that they have issued. Our message, and I can't emphasize this enough, our message to anyone who has received an SST card from this training provider is to immediately get retrained, regardless of anything you may assert. It's in your best interest to immediately begin retraining. On the front page of the D.O.B. website, we will post information for workers on where they can find approved training providers. There is free training available through our partners at SPS. That information will be found on our website. We have emails and we have cell phones of these 20,000 individuals. We will do our best to reach out to them directly. We will work with our partners in the industry to get the word out. Again, I want to thank Commissioner. We very much appreciate D.O.I.'s recommendations on how to improve oversight over this process. We agree in principle to any recommendation that makes our city safer and helps protect our fellow New Yorkers. I look forward to working with the Commissioner and her team in the coming months to determine which of these recommendations can be effectively implemented, keeping in mind, of course, that we are managing a number of critical safety needs at the moment. And finally, I would just like to close by thanking the D.O.B. team, two of whom are standing up here with us. Mark Sanabria, who is our Assistant Commissioner for Investigations and Compliance, Ronaldo Cabrera, who is our Executive Agency Counsel, and just want to thank the Training Compliance Unit, Eugene Samajandi and Deborah Palmieri Russo for their work. And we can get into more details about their work based on your questions. Thank you.